صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله. We are starting theological instructions of Maulana Syed, which is basically on Usul al-Din. Now, there are many different approaches to studying the principles of faith, or Usul al-Din. Usul al-Din, which are known to be principles. Usul is from Asl, and Asl means root, foundation, or principle, many different translations. So religious principles, you can have many different approaches to it. Some of which can be theological, which is known to be in Arabic, Ilmul Kalam. I will apologize that my speed is a little bit fast. I'll try and slow down as much as possible. So there is the theological approach to Usul al-Din, which is Ilmul Kalam. In Arabic, you call all the sciences with ilm in the beginning. Ilmul Kalam, Ilmul Falsafa, Ilmul Irfan, Ilmul Kimia. Chemistry is called Ilmul Kimia, for example. So every Ilmul Mantiq. So you don't say just logic. You say Ilmul Mantiq, Ilmul Falsafa, philosophy. So there is the theological approach, then there is the philosophical approach, and there is the mystical approach. We're doing it from a theological point of view. Nevertheless, the writer, Ayatollah Misbah-Yazdi, he is a contemporary writer. His name is Muhammad Taqi Misbah-Yazdi. He's in Iran. He's a philosopher. He's a great philosopher. He's an expert in different sciences. He has his own university. He founded some 30 years back, 40 years back, and he's a prominent figure in Iran. He has many, many, many books. This book is taught in the Hausa, usually in the first or the second year, usually in the second year. So it is not so difficult, not as difficult as some of the higher level books, which are very difficult to understand. And you will need some logic or some philosophy to understand those. Even in this book, parts of it are philosophical. So I'll try and make them as easy as possible. In theology, you first believe and then you do the research, because we're all born Muslims. Well, most of us are born Muslims or born Shia, so we already believe in these things, and then we do research to continue in our beliefs that we've been taught from early ages. In philosophy, you do the research first and then you believe. So if you reach a conclusion, your research may be complete or incomplete. You may have incomplete research where you reach a wrong conclusion. And sometimes with even incomplete research, you reach the right conclusion. Nevertheless, I don't want to go into that now. So in philosophy, you first do the research and then you believe. In theology, you first believe and then do the research. Mysticism is an approach where you believe that God can guide you, a spiritual experience can guide you. And there are very deep debates in there as well. So I don't want to go into that. But from the mystical point of view, you have books like Al-Asfar and other many, many great writers who have written extensively, like Mullah Sadra. Mullah Hadi Safdari is one of the greatest philosophers. Ibn Sina, he's a logician, a medical expert, philosopher, mystic. He's an expert in many, many different sciences. So now when we start this book, so it is about Usul-e-Din. I've also translated another book by Ayatollah Wahid Khorasani. It is available free on site. You can read that. That's my translation. The book is very good as well, but it is not in lessons. Okay. Many books are written for Hausa students. Something higher is like Babi Hadi Ashar by Allama Hilli. Babi Hadi Ashar is a book written for Hausa students, but it's very difficult, complicated. And then the last book, Tajridul I'tiqad, Sharh Tajridul I'tiqad, for example. Tajridul I'tiqad is by Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi, not Sheikh Tusi, Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi. And his student Allama Hilli wrote a commentary on it, which is called Kashful Murad. Kashful Murad fi Sharh Tajridil I'tiqad. That is the last book usually in the Hausa, very complicated and very deep, philosophical, theological, but it is very deep anyway. Now, 2 words so far we have come across. The first one, Deen. The second one is Usul. So Usul-e-Din. Usul-e-Din, this is live on YouTube, so it will be recorded on YouTube. Inshallah, you can listen to it later from YouTube. It will be stored there, inshallah. Hope so. Usul, we said, is the plural of Asl. Alif, Sad, Lam. Asl. Asl is the root or principle or foundation. So the principles, Deen is religion. Now, Deen in Arabic itself means, there are 2 meanings to everything. Just remember this, 2 types of meanings. Some words have literal meanings. Literal meaning, something that you will find in the dictionary. Lughavi and Istilahi. In Arabic, you call them Lughat, Lughavi meaning, and Istilahi. I usually don't get enough time to make slides, so I could write all of these things and you could follow them on the screen. So I'm sorry about that. In the classroom, I usually write them on the whiteboard. So I'll say those 2. So Lughavi meaning is the meaning you will find in the dictionary. You pick up the dictionary, an English word or an Arabic. So in Arabic dictionary, when you pick up the dictionary and you look at the word Deen, you will find 2 main meanings. That religion, basically, Deen means obedience, ita'at in Arabic, ita'at, and jaza. Jaza is recompense. Now, not reward, but recompense. Because jaza in Farsi and Urdu can mean reward. But in Arabic, it means recompense. So it could be good reward or bad reward. I mean, it basically could be a reward or a punishment. It could be both, okay? So, Deen, Maliki Yawmiddin, master of the day of judgment. Deen there means day of judgment or recompense, jaza. Maliki Roze jaza. Jaza, okay? So obedience. So this is literal meaning of the word Deen, literal meaning. And then there is a terminological meaning. Some words become a terminology. Science, chemistry. Chemistry may have a meaning in dictionary, but then it is a terminology. Chemistry is a subject, a whole science. Science, likewise, I don't know, English, literature, all of these have terminological meanings as well. Istilah, They've become a terminology now. So religion is a terminology, and it applies to the beliefs and practices of a faith. Therefore, all the people who believe in a God, not the God necessarily, but a God and the hereafter, some sort, and they have some practices, they are called religious. And the ones who don't believe in any God and have no faith and no practices from faith and no belief in the hereafter are regarded as materialist or agnostic or atheist, so they don't have a religion, so they're called non-religious. So anyone who has any sort of religion. Now, with this definition, we come to a conclusion that the people who believe in a religion, their religion could be a divine religion, a true religion, or could be a false religion, a man-made religion, or a religion which is now abrogated. So far we have now given you definitions of usul ad-din. Now, then you have faith, things that you believe in, and then things that you practice. I hope I have everyone's attention so far. So you have beliefs and practices. In any religion, you will have beliefs and practices. The set of beliefs are known to be the principles of faith or usul ad-din, and the practices are known to be furu ad-din or the branches of religion. Now, Sheikh Misbah Yazdi also goes into another paragraph of worldview and ideology. Usually usul ad-din, not necessarily, but usul ad-din are known to be worldview, and the practices are known to be ideology. Sometimes the word ideology applies to both usul ad-din and furu ad-din, and sometimes only just furu ad-din. Worldview is basically defined as a series of universal and harmonious beliefs concerning man, the universe, and being in general. Being meaning essence, hasti or wujud. So when you have a set of beliefs about man, the universe, and the essence in general, these are known to be worldview. So whatever your worldview or jahan bini in Farsi, worldview. Even in Urdu we say jahan bini. Anyway. So now, the set of beliefs about man, the universe, and essence in general, these are known to be worldview. And ideology is the series of universal and harmonious views regarding human behavior. Behavior, again, practices. But sometimes ideology applies to both. When we say worldview, it could be a divine worldview or could be a materialistic worldview. So you have materialistic, we said maddi, materialistic people who don't believe in God. So the people who don't believe in God, they have their own worldview, and the people who believe in a God, they have a worldview. Now, 55 to 60% of the world's population are mainly Christians and Muslims who have a religion, who believe in a God. And also, if you add Jews, Jews are about 20 million. You have over 2 billion Christians and about 2 billion Muslims. So 55 to 60% of the world's population is of these religions. Then you have other religions who have some concept of God. Anyway, so materialistic, so you have the divine meaning, which is Jahanbiniya Ilahi. You have the Ilahi worldview, divine worldview, or you have a materialistic worldview. Materialistic worldview is when you don't believe in a God, and you may have definitions about human beings, or the world, the universe, the essence, or the being in general. The people who don't believe in any religion, in olden days, they were called Dahriya, which is an atheist, or Tabi'i, which is naturalist. So they're either called atheist, naturalist, Dahri, Tabi'i, and sometimes they are dualists, Zindiq, and sometimes they are Mulhid, which are heretics. But in contemporary history, the materialistics are dialectic materialistics, which comprises of a part of Marxist philosophy. Now, we are not going to go into the different views like communists, Marxists, materialistics, naturalists. So I'm only going to be covering Islamic perspective, and some of the other things that the people bring in, we will try and answer some of those, because we only have about 16 lectures in which we will try and cover all of these. I hope you're all following me so far. Now, when we say that there are two types of religions, so religions which are anyone who believes in a God and set of practices are known to be religious. And then you could have true religion, or a religion which is revealed by God and their principles, and a false. What is the history of religion? So we believe that the history of religion begins with the history of mankind on earth. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was the first man on earth, and he also started the first, he began the religion. So he introduced Islam. There are many other views which I don't want to go into. So there may be people who believe that people, like communists, they believe that people in the beginning believed in many, many gods, and then they started believing in only 3 gods. They shortened it down to 400, and then 3 gods, and then 2 gods, and only then 1 God. And now we have advanced in science, so therefore we believe in no God. This is what their theory is. While this is their theory, so which is not a proof, which is not a fact. We believe that if you look at the human history, the first man on earth was a Hadi, a guide, a prophet, and he came with the belief in one God. We will be covering the concept of one God, but much later, inshallah, probably next lesson, I'll try and bring it in as quickly as possible. So this is a history of religion on earth. The monotheistic religions, also known as the revealed religions, or Ilahi, believe in one God. The ones who believe in one God. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So they have 3 fundamental principles. The ones who believe in divine religion, or religion which is revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have three basic principles. Everyone should memorize these. The first one is Tawheed. Second one is Nabuwwat. And the third one is Ma'ad. Tawheed is the belief in one God or divine unity. Tawheed is divine unity or belief in one God. And then he puts Ma'ad first. Ma'ad is the return, believe in the hereafter. Ma'ad is from Aud. Aud is the return. I'm not sure if I'll be able to cover Ma'ad. If I do cover Ma'ad, because there are 60 lessons in this book, I'll try, and even if I try and cover 2 lessons every week, then I still need about 30. So I will have to skip a lot of the lessons. I'll give you a plan. If you read them yourselves anyway, it will be beneficial. So what we will do is we will concentrate on Tawheed and try and cover that fully. And then Adl, I'll try and cover within 1 lesson. I'll try. And then I'll try and cover Nabuwwat and Imamat in in less detail, and probably Ma'ad in less detail as well. So, okay, I will concentrate more on Tawheed. So, and then you believe in the prophets. So these are the 3 basic things that Jews, Christians, and Muslims all believe in: Tawheed, Nabuwwat, and Ma'ad, or Qiyamat. Now, the fundamental questions come to mind. Who is the creator? Who created us? Who is the creator? Khaliq. What is the ultimate end? Where are we going? What is the ultimate end? Is there life after death? And from whom do we seek guidance in this life? So we want a righteous life. So who do we seek the guidance from? Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which I haven't, this is what we believe already, but we will be covering it much later. Ultimate end is Qayamat, and guidance is from Anbiya alayhi salam. Now, this we share with Jews, Christians, and other Muslims. But we also have 2, the Shia school of thought also adds 2 other principles in our faith, 2 principles of faith. One is Adl or Adalat, which is divine justice, meaning Allah is Adil. We will cover it when the time comes. And Imamat, so we'll say Tawheed, Adl, Nabuwwat, Imamat, Qiyamat. Imamat is our difference with our Sunni brothers, because they believe that it is the succession to the Holy Prophet ﷺ is chosen by people, and we believe that it is chosen by God. Allah chooses the successors of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, just like He chose the successors of all the previous prophets. And our Sunni brothers believe that no, Allah does not choose the successors. That's why we also mention in our Usul al-Din Imamat. Now, although justice, divine justice or Adl is a part of Tawheed, it is because when we say Allah's attributes, amongst the attributes of Allah is that He is Adil. He is Rahman, Rahim, Alim, Qadir, and He is also Adil. So Adl, like we discussed, Qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the omnipotence of Allah, ilm, knowledge of Allah, omniscience, Hayat, for example, He's ever living. We cover all of those. Likewise, Adl is a part of Tawheed. And therefore, when we say that there are 3 usul al-din, we also have covered with our Jews, Christians, and other Muslims that Tawheed, and that also covers Adl. And when we say Nabuwwat, because we believe that Anbiya, prophets and messengers are chosen by God, we also believe Imams are chosen by God. Imamat is a continuation of Nabuwwat and Risalat, because they're chosen by God, they're infallible. So it is a part of that, but because there are already Muslims, or majority of the Muslims, because they deny it, that's why we mention it in our Usul al-Din, because it is a part of our faith. And then Qayamat we share with everyone.
Maulana,
So this is the...
Sorry to interrupt you. There is a question. Would you like them at the end of the lesson, or could you take one question now?
I think we'll just keep it to the end, because otherwise then we'll have interruptions.
Okay.
And it's being recorded. So what I'll do is I'll speak for 45 minutes. I'll try and speak for 45 minutes, if not longer. I'll try and keep it shorter, but I will take all of my 45 minutes, because I've been speaking for 25 minutes and I've only covered first lecture. I want you to, lesson 1, I want you to cover 2 lessons at least per lecture. So then if we can just keep the questions at the end, otherwise I will run over time, and I want to complete everything within an hour.
That's fine.
Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try and shorten the second lesson as much as I can. Now, when we understand that there is religion which is divine religion, and then there are religions which are not revealed, or they were revealed by God, but the people changed those teachings. For example, the Jews denied the coming of Jesus as their prophet, or the Christians started believing in Trinity, which is in contradiction to the one belief, or our Sunni brothers who denied Imamate as being successors of the Holy Prophet are also chosen by God. So then we need to study religion and the need for studying religion. I'm still not going into Usul al-Din. This is just an introductory first lesson, which is about faith, about all of those things. And I will try and cover today the need for studying religion. Now, so we can say the need for religion. Now, when human beings are born, we have 2 words, nature and instinct. Shaykh Musa Mutahari has argued that there are 2 different things. And in this book, he calls it intrinsic nature. In Farsi, originally, he has used them as 2 separate words, nature and instinct. Are the same thing? Many people argue that nature and instinct are same. So, kullu mawludin yuladu ala fitrat Islam. The Holy Prophet ﷺ says that every child is born on fitrat, on nature of Islam. Now, even fitrat, nature, can be changed when people continuously tell you otherwise. It's the parents who make a child a Jew or a Christian or a Zoroastrian. So the parents can, or the society can change your belief or your natural belief in God. Okay, it's about page number 23. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. On the PDF, I'm on lesson 2 at the moment. Okay, so it may be different. In my print, it is what you have provided is 23. Okay, mine is 43. Could be wrong. Yeah, I think it is 23. My page numbers are wrong. Anyway, so now, an instinct is something like hunger, like thirst, like our needs, physical needs, which are many, which cannot be changed. This is what some people have argued. Shaykh Musa Mutahari has a whole book called Instinct. I don't know, fitrat, nature. Anyway, now he translates it as intrinsic nature. Now, in our intrinsic nature, we have a sense of curiosity. Justuju or Kunjkavi. In Farsi, Kunjkavi, Tajassus in Arabic, and in Justuju, like we have curiosity. Even children are curious. They want to touch everything. They want to feel everything. So there are different senses. We have the 5 physical senses, taste, touch, smell, hear, and see. And then there's a 6th sense, they say that, which is our mind. But then we have other senses like curiosity. We have a sense of curiosity. And from very early age, we ask certain questions. Is there imperceptible or immaterial being? Ghaib, something which is ghaib, unseen world, something that we cannot touch, imperceptible. Is there a link between this immaterial being and our material world? So if there is a ghaib, there is an unseen world or imperceptible world, can we form a connection with it? Is there some sort of God, and can we have a connection with that God? In the presence of this relationship, is there a reality which created the universe, or the universe came into being by itself? So all of these questions, from our sense of curiosity, we have them. Is this existence of man limited to this material world form? Or no, it is beyond. Do we have a ruh? Is there life after death? So all of these things, we have all of these questions in mind. And then further to this sense of curiosity, we have the sense of seeking knowledge, learning. And the man is created in such a way that, it has questions and it wants answers to. And sometimes, people who are around you do not answer those questions, so they take you into a different phase or a different mode. And then there is a curiosity of finding the truth. We want to know the truth behind everything. So we are born truthful, and we want to find out more, truth about everything. Now, so the Holy Quran also talks about some of these things. I want to very quickly now, because the time is coming to an end. So with all of these things in our mind, we want to take up the right path to answer all of those questions. And the most important element in our lives is to get the true answers to all of those questions. Is there an unseen world? Is there a being which is immaterial, which is not maddi, which is out there? Can we form a connection? And we want the truth. So with this, human beings go further, and that's how they want to go towards religion, because religion has the answer for if we were created. Yes. So we were created. We are not just accidental beings. There is a creator. We can form a connection with that creator through wahi, through revelation, through prophets and imams. And the truth and, about punishments and rewards, the hereafter, the whole concept of the life after death. And the Holy Quran says very clearly, بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسَانُ لَيَفْتِرَ أَمَامَهُ. The human beings Rather, man desires to go on living viciously. If you do not give answers to those questions, human beings become wild and they have facade, viciousness, they have corruption, and all sorts of materialistic beliefs and thinking and doings. So today, the corruption that we see in mankind is because they don't believe in a God, they don't believe in set of beliefs, they don't believe in the hereafter. And that's because there is no accountability, therefore they become corrupt. And the ones who have no beliefs and no belief in God, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes them in the Holy Quran in Surah Araf as Ulaika kal an'am, they're like cattle. Bal hum adal, nay, they are worse than the cattle. Ulaika humul ghafilun, they're the ones who are heedless. Ghafil. Ghafil is someone who is heedless, who is not paying attention to anything. Yes, people who are sleeping are heedless. But Allah says the ones who don't believe in God, the hereafter, prophets, imams, they become like cattle, so they eat and drink anything. They have no laws of halal and haram. They do anything in their practices because they don't believe in corruption or and the last verse in Surah Anfal, it says, Inna sharra dawabi indallahi summul bukmul ladina la yaqilun. The worst, indeed the worst of the beasts in Allah's sight are the deaf and the dumb who do not apply reason. So with this aql, we can get to religion and we can get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can get to the prophets, alayhi salam, and the belief in the hereafter. And last thing, so he poses a question. He says that, well, a lot of the people say, well, hang on, and then I'll allow you to ask questions. He says, a lot of the people say, rather than doing so much research into religion and finding out the right religion, why should I not learn something else, something more important, which can make me earn and learn? And so therefore, I don't need to do research into religion. I don't need to learn about religion because it's not so important. Number one, he says, the answers to this. Number one, he says, studying religion is no less important than any other subject. It is equally as important, if not more important, than learning other things. In fact, it is more important than learning other things. Secondly, he says, not learning about religion, what are the chances of you, because the consequences of not following the right path are eternal, because you don't believe in God, you don't believe in the hereafter, you don't believe in prophets, you die, you're same as the materialistic person, because there is no hereafter, there is no God, there is no accountability, there is no reward, no punishment, everything finished. But what if there is? So then there is eternity, because life is only temporary. We come into this world for a short period and then we die, and we die for forever, eternity. So we are dead forever, so therefore there may be punishment or life after death or reward or accountability and a God. So therefore the consequences are so huge that we must do research into religion and learn if there is a God and if he wants us to follow the right path, if there are prophets, if there are revealed books, and if there is hereafter accountability, reward, punishment. So that's why we study religion. I've tried to summarize and explain as well as I could. No matter how weak the person's intellect, you have to try and learn about religion. Okay? وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. You can now ask questions.
Jazakallah, Maulana. Right, okay. There's one question which has been sent to me on chat, so I'll ask that first. So you had mentioned that religion started with the first man, i.e. Prophet Adam alayhi salam. In relation to that, what about the belief that Allah made the Nur of Al-Bayt alayhi salam, and that when Adam alayhi salam was created, he was taught the names of Al-Bayt alayhi salam, etc. So what is that, and how does that work?
Okay, so we are not saying that he is the first creation of Allah. We believe that the first creation of Allah is the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali, Hazrat Fatima, the 14 infallibles. But we're saying that the first man on earth was Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, and when he came, that was the beginning of religion for mankind. So we're not talking about angels or pre-human or before the earth. Before the earth, we're not discussing any of those. What we are discussing is that we're saying that on earth, there is a whole debate on when did religion start on earth. And we believe that the religion on earth started with the creation of, or the sending of mankind on earth. And Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was the first man on earth, and therefore on earth, it is not that religion came much later. Religion started with Hazrat Adam. That's what we're trying to say. So it is not like many of the materialistic people say that religion never existed in the beginning of human on earth, in early human life, and it was much later. No, that's not true. That's what we are trying to argue and answer.
Jazakallah. Another couple of questions. Is religion a necessity only for those who are on earth, or is it also applicable for all beings, whether they are on earth or in heaven?
Okay. If you're asking religious practices, then no. Obligations lie taklif, we have haram, halal, things which are forbidden for us. In the paradise, there are no halal, haram, there is no taklif there. So if you're talking about practices, so practices may be different. Some angels may be created and their ibadat, their definition, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has defined a role for them, and they must only do what they have been defined. But if you're talking about faith, then all beings have to believe in one God. They all have to believe in the prophets and the imams alayhimus salam, and they all have to believe in the hereafter. So all angels believe those. If you're talking about practices, then all have to have it. If you're talking about practices, so if you have faith, like beliefs and practices. So belief, they all have to have the what we have defined. Practices may be different.
And imamat are part of the three asul. Is there a need to separate?
Okay. You mentioned certain things separately because when people deny. So there are majority of Muslims today who don't believe in adl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or who don't believe in imamat. So we have to separate those two things to say that we believe in the divine justice. For which I had said that I will mention it in its own place. And I said I'll not talk about adl today, because inshallah when we go on, adalat will be discussed separately. So adl and adalat or imamat, they're a part of Usul-e-Din, and we didn't need to mention them separately if all Muslims had believed in Adalat and Imamat. But we do need to mention them because there are Muslims who deny Imamat, for example, or Adalat. They don't completely deny, but their definition may be completely different to the definition of Ahlul Bayt. And that's why it needs to be mentioned in our Usul-e-Din, because the Ahlul Bayt have given a different definition to adalat than many of the other Muslims. Okay.
Jazakallah. This question here from Raza Shah. Fitra is imprinted with the belief of a creator and the concept being realized forever. Is is there, or is this where the curiosity stems from? Not 100% sure if I understood the question, but if you have,
Okay.
go ahead.
So the curiosity, even if you see what happens is that we may have, for example, love of children is in our fitrat, but the Bedouin Arabs used to bury their daughters alive. So had their fitra changed, had their nature changed, you see, the society can suppress you, but it wasn't all people doing it. Otherwise, there will be no women. So that means a lot of the people were questioning the burial of daughters alive. A lot of the people did not do it. A lot of the people had faith in God and they did not do it. And a lot of the people could not do it because they had love for their daughters. So the love for children is in our nature. But because everyone else is doing it and everyone says, okay, no, the daughters are less worthy or the daughters are less precious or the daughters should be buried, then sometimes we change our fitrat. But when you teach it back, the question arises from inside. So when the Holy Prophet ﷺ came and he said, no, daughters are precious and you cannot bury them alive, the people started saying, yes, he's right. We shouldn't do it. And Hazrat, so people, so it wakes up the nature inside you. So if people are taught to not believe in God, and if someone calls them to believe in a God, then if you come strong with proof and reason that that attracts them, then they will answer to that nature again and say, yes, my nature from inside. That's why we call a lot of the converts not converts but reverts, because they were born in Islam and they had their parents or environment or people who were bringing them up had changed their beliefs and then they come back to Islam. So it is extremely important that we realize that we are born on the nature of Tawheed and we can be brought back to it unless our hearts have darkened so much that we cannot come back to Tawheed or to things. Okay. I'm trying to give the question, the answer.
Thank you. There's a question, there's a hand raised by Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi. I'll just unmute him.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's a bit faint, but we can hear you.
Okay. Maulana Syed, I have a couple of questions. One of them is, you said the theological approach is that you believe first and then you do the research. But could you elaborate, because it doesn't make sense to me? How can I believe in something if I don't do a research about it? Like, how can I believe in a God if I don't look for a God, or if I don't, open up a book and read and study about God?
Very good question. Okay. Please listen carefully to the answer. So in theology, because I'm born a Muslim, I already believe in a God. I already believe in the prophets. I already believe in imams. I already believe in the hereafter. Okay. But I want to increase my knowledge, like all of you are now studying. So you all already believe in God, prophets, imams, adalat, ma'ad, books, Quran, Torah. You already believe, but you still want to research. Is it right belief? Is it not right? Or I want to strengthen my belief. This is called theological approach. So you already believe, but you do research. You find reasoning. You find proofs on your own faith. A philosophical approach is when a person doesn't believe. And then they say, well, okay, I'll do research to see if there is a God. If it is proven to me there is a God, then I'll believe. If there isn't, then I won't. The people who are born Muslims or Christians or Jews or of Hindus or Sikhs or Buddhists or whatever, Zoroastrian, so they already believe in a God, they believe in a system, then they do research, and then they may reach a conclusion that I'm wrong, I should become a Muslim, or I should become a Shia, or I shouldn't. And that is called theological approach. You already believe and then you do research. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do research. No, you still, because you're born with a faith, you still do research. That's called theological approach. Philosophical approach is when you don't believe. For example, I may do research into something which is not about Islam, but I don't believe in. So I don't believe in it, so that's a philosophical approach, because I don't already believe in it. But the theological approach would be that you already have faith, you want to strengthen your faith, or you want to find more reasons for your faith, or you want to find the truth. If my religion is the truth, or if my religion or in my faith I have something wrong, I need to improve or I need to change, that's called theological approach. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was really, really nice. Uh,
Okay.
so, yes, can I
Yes.
ask my next question? Is it possible?
There are some others, so if it's okay, if I can just move on to.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Okay, just give me 2 minutes here. There's two questions which are kind of related anyway. So one was I'll read them out both, and then you can answer them how you please, Maulana. So one is it possible if someone was to research deeply into God that they may actually divert from the right path? That's one question. And then another question was, what is the best way to guide someone who is curious about Islam? Because asking them to study the Quran may not be as straightforward. So those are the two questions that are in writing.
Very good. Both questions are very good. I'll answer the second question first. If a person says, I want to study Islam, give them the Quran, but give them a genuine translation of the Holy Quran. Dr. Thomas McKelvin says that if anyone who reads a genuine translation of the Holy Quran will surely convert if they are clean of heart and they're open-minded. If they are prejudiced, then they will not. But if they read a genuine translation of the Holy Quran, he became Shia Muslim, Dr. Thomas McKelvin. His name is Ali Haider. He's a professor. So it is extremely important that sometimes you think that no, Quran may not be. No, Quran is the best book. Believe me, even the people who don't know Arabic, when they have read, they have praised it. They have said, we have never come across anything like it. Secondly, can a person actually do research and reach a conclusion that there is no God? Yes. Many times people actually do research into religion because they cannot find the right sources. They cannot find the right teachers because their teachers may have the right faith, but they do not have the right reasoning. They do not have good explanation, may misguide them. The books and the teachers may misguide a person to believing in no God. And it is possible, and I've seen that happen many times. So it is possible that a person does research and does not reach the God. Yes. Any other questions?
How long more do we want to give to questions? Do you want to say 5 minutes? 5 minutes, and then we can close that?
Yes, please. Just a few minutes. If there are no questions, then we'll leave. But so long as there are questions, then up to 5 minutes. Otherwise, we'll stop.
Okay, inshallah. So there's one from Sister Fatima Damani, and that is, if God was going to continue choosing his deputy on earth, why call some prophets and some imams? What is the difference between Nabi and Imam if both are divinely selected deputies of God on earth? And then finishing off the question, is it just that the final Nabi brought the final message? Jazakallah. That's it.
Okay, very good question. Again, I'm really impressed by from the beginning to the end. All of you have been asking genuine questions and good questions. Never ever feel embarrassed of asking questions. Sister, I don't know your ages, so you may be like my children, but remember, human beings, we evolve, which is called evolution, but we haven't evolved from apes into human beings. So we evolve. Even now, we're going through, when we move, we evolve, we adapt to new societies physically, and then ideologically, mentally, we evolve. And human beings, when there was, Hazrat Adam came, not so many obligations, not so many necessities, not so many corrupt inclinations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only sent a few obligations, few things. not so many proofs. Inshallah, when we come to the proofs of, proofs on God, one God, inshallah, I'll explain it in more detail. Then came Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, there was, corruption. And so he said, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Things improved, and Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam came. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, now more obligations and more things are needed, and society and laws started coming. So this is forbidden, this, you can't do this. So set of laws were given, because then the society had been formed, cities had been formed. Human beings are social animals, so we're living together. So, mahram na mahram came in. So many things came in because of certain corruptions that had erupted in the human society. Then Hazrat Musa alayhi salam came, he said, okay, don't do evil things, don't do haram things. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam came, don't even think about haram things. And the Holy Prophet came, then human beings had reached the perfection. They had reached a level where they will develop further on to the same level. They will develop further, technology will come in, things will come in, but they don't need any new Sharia. So therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, now the seal of the prophets, Quran is the final book. Haram of Muhammadin haramun ila yawm al-qiyamah. Haram of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is haram till the day of judgment. His halal is halal till the day of judgment. All laws have come in, only few obligations. You only need 5 daily prayers, you need fasting, 1 month of fasting, 1 hajj in a lifetime, khum, zakat, jihad, and then forbidden things, that's it. And then came the Imam. Now, so religion perfected, he said, now religion is complete. The last messenger came. No more revelation, no more new book, no more testament. And then why call some? So there are different titles. When we come to Nabuwwat, we will discuss these in more detail, but because you've asked a question very quickly, I'll answer. So some are just Nabi. Nabi is someone who gets a revelation. He may not have to go and deliver. Then there is Rasul, someone who is an apostle who receives the revelation. He has to go and deliver this message to others. Then there is Imam, who is a leader who needs to form and fight against, like Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, fight against the evil and destroy him and form a government, form a state, and he is for everyone, for all. And all other prophets and Imams, prophets and Rasuls that come after him, Anbiya and Rasul, they are his obedient. Then comes Khatamun Nabiyyin. Our Imams are not Anbiya. They're successors of the last messenger. And because he's the greatest prophet, his successors are the greatest successors, greatest beings like him. They're similar to him. And Hazrat Ibrahim is an Imam, the Holy Prophet is an Imam, and these 12 are Imams, but they're only Imams, leader, social, political, religious leaders, infallible leaders, but they don't have new wahi, they don't have new testament, they don't have new books. So everything is completed at the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they are divine leaders or Imams. I hope I've answered that. Last question.
Thank you, man. There are 2 hands up. I'm just seeing if anybody had. Oh, yeah. So there's a very short question, which I don't think it's really going to take much of your time. One is, when you mentioned genuine translation of the Quran, could you specify which author or which translator?
There are many genuine translations in English of the Holy Quran, if you're meaning in English. For example, I mean, sometimes people put in brackets and, change, and many times are distorted translations of the Holy Quran, like Jews or Christians sometimes have done translations of the Holy Quran, distorted. Pick it all, convert it, his is good. Sayyid Ali Quli Qarai, today's people, ulama scholars say that is the best translation. Sayyid Ali Quli Qarai. He lives in America. He went to Iran to translate the whole thing. He's taken years to translate. That's Ahmed Shakir, Mir Ahmed Ali. So there are many genuine translations in English. In Urdu, Sayyid Farman Ali, Sayyid Imdad Hussain Kazmi, Sayyid Safdar Hussain Rashid, Sayyid Mohsin, Sheikh Mohsin, Sayyid Ali Naqli Naql. So many translations which are genuine. My thing is that some people distort the words and some people add brackets and keep adding names from their own faith. That shouldn't happen. It should be a genuine translation, which is a true translation of the Quran.
Jazakallah. Then the last question then, Sayyid Muhammad, you had raised your hand again, so we're handing to you.
Okay, this is the last question, please.
Yeah. Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi.
Hello.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, in uh, the principle of faith, where for Shia we have Tawheed and Adl. Now, my question is, why do we only talk about Adl in such a deeply manner and not about any other attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Okay. When we start Adl, I may go beyond one lecture. I'll try and just do one lecture on Adl and try and summarize it, but in more detail, I'll explain them. But listen, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's Rahman, Rahim, Jabbar, Sattar, Ghaffar, all of those Muslims accept the definition that we accept. Okay? So the definitions are the same. But the definition on Adl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is disputed. So anything which is just, Allah will only do that. That's our definition. The others say, whatever Allah does is justice. So He can place a good person, a genuinely good person, like a prophet or someone in hellfire, or someone genuinely evil like Yazid in heaven, and that's justice because Allah does it. So He can do whatever He likes. The shared definition is no, Allah will only do that which is just. When we come to it, I'll explain it in more detail because this is a very detailed topic. That's why, because of such a big dispute from the times of the Imams alayhi amongst Muslims on the divine justice, we mention divine justice in our usul-e-din, that no, justice has to be given the definition that the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and the Quran has given. To I hope I've explained.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Maulana. So that will be the end of the class there. And inshallah, same time next week, the classes will continue. Please do look out for your emails. I'm going to send out a link where you can fill out your feedback and also use it as your class notes. It'll be good for Maulana to see what you've taken from this first initial lesson. Thank you, everyone, and we're closing the session. Thank you.